in the first round for the Patriots. We've been doing mock drafts here, it feels like already for 2 months.
Yeah.
But today we just want to walk you guys through some of the main guys at 4th overall, some guys who might make sense if the Patriots were to trade down, and then some guys that might make sense if they were to trade up out of that second round pick. What's your overall feeling, though, as we sit here, Evan, month to go before the draft?
Tell me who's going 1, 2, 3, and I'll tell you who the Patriots are taking at 4. I think that's the big thing right now, is figuring out what the teams ahead of them are going to do. And the second thing I would just say is that it's really one of those drafts to me where you can talk yourself into a bunch of guys at 4 if it's not Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. It's a real fits draft. It's going to be a flavor draft. It's going to be what they want and who they like and who they jive with in terms of personality and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of evenly graded players once you get past those top 2.
All right, let's start with those top 2, though, because no secret, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, 2 guys that will make a huge difference for the Patriots. I know the Patriots were heavy on the defensive side of the ball. Evan signed 2 defensive ends for their defense, kind of where Abdul Carter plays, but he's a special player. He moves in a special way. He will bring instant juice to this Patriots pass rush. What do you love about this guy?
Yeah, it's a great way to put it. Instant juice. I mean, he's a dynamic player, and you just mentioned they made a lot of moves on defense. That's true, but this is, to me, would be the finishing piece. This is a guy that projects as a double-digit sack guy. That's going to be that cherry on top to what they've already done this offseason. There's 2 blue chippers in this draft to me. Travis Hunter, who we'll talk about here in a second, and this guy, Abdul Carter. What I love so much about his game is his versatility. He's not somebody that just rushes over the tackle outside the tackle, I should say. You can move him in line. You can move him off the ball. You can have him spy quarterbacks with his sideline to sideline speed. So he can do just about everything as a chess piece in the front 7. Played a little inside linebacker at Penn State early on in his career, then transitioned to the edge. So you're not just getting a edge rusher. You're getting a real hybrid defender that can do a bunch of different things.
You said chess piece, and now, of course, we're all familiar with Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
By this point, can play on both sides of the ball. I think we both agree, though, based on free agency for the Patriots, offensive side of the ball is where we probably would like to see Travis Hunter. Special ball skills, special movement skills. Not the biggest guy in the world, but I think he has enough juice on the offensive side of the ball to make a difference at receiver.
I'm going rogue. I'm going to try to draw on this for a second. I'm going to cross this out. All right, if he comes to New England, he's playing here, okay? That's what's happening with Travis Hunter. I really think that he has the best ball skills I've ever seen out of a draft prospect doing this for the last, almost decade. I'm getting old. He has the best ball skills I've ever seen on both sides of the ball, whether you're talking about ball hawking instincts, high pointing the ball on defense, or doing the same things on offense. He has strong hands. He has that ability to climb the ladder, ability to finish through contact. You mentioned the play speed. I think that's what changes the equation for me about him playing wide receiver versus corner in the NFL. When you have a guy that can make big plays happen, like Travis Hunter, feeding him the rock is really intriguing. On defense, maybe he touches it once a game, he gets a pick or something like that and gets his hands on the football. But on offense, you can give him 8 to 10 touches a game and watch him break off big play after big play after big play. There might be some route and refinement needed for him at receiver because he didn't focus on it full time at Colorado. But you have him focus on it full time at the NFL, and I have no doubt about it that he's going to have an extremely high ceiling at that position.
All right, so that's the fantasy, right? That Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter would maybe default to the Patriots. Not sure if that's going to happen or not. Let's move on, though, to the other guy we've probably heard a lot about here during mock draft season, which is Will Campbell, of course. I'm going to draw something here. Those arms, we've had a lot of talk about the arms, but Ev, what I want to point out is that raw athletic score, Will Campbell came in at 17th of about 1,300 prospects going all the way back to the 80s. So this guy, let's not talk about his arms so much. Let's talk about how athletic he is. Is he a fit at tackle, though? That's the biggest question.
Excellent athlete, as you mentioned. I don't see a whole lot of warts in his game in terms of movement and ability to protect his edge. He can definitely get out, meet pass rushers at the junction point, make them go the long way home to the quarterback, but he's incredibly strong as well. And I think that that's somewhere where his arm length, although it's sometimes a concern, and we can get to that. I think he saves himself by his core strength and his ability to set an anchor and really be sturdy in his pass protection. So even when guys get into his frame, he has good independent hand usage to kind of win late on a lot of those reps, and then he can just drop that anchor down and put his feet in the ground and not move very far. So in general, I think the arm length stuff only really hurts him by getting out to the rusher and protecting his outside shoulder. So sometimes he'll be a little bit over aggressive on those sets, and that opens up that inside pathway to the quarterback. So you see a lot of inside moves beat him, spin moves, crossovers inside, that sort of thing. that can give him some problems because of the length issues. But in general, you're getting a leader, a football character guy, a great run blocker, and a really strong overall pass protector as well. Strength, athleticism, character. I mean, that's offensive line right there.
Lot to like. Question at 4th overall, is he going to land at left tackle? I'm just going to breeze right through Mason Graham here, Ev, because I feel like with the Patriots signing Milton Williams, Christian Barmore in the mix, a little bit redundant here. Mason Graham, good player, didn't test great, didn't have the great measurables, a little bit lighter than we thought. So I think I'm going to take him out of the consideration right now.
Yeah.
We sit at 4th overall, though. What are the Patriots going to do? Could they potentially trade down? And that's the question we asked. So, Tet McMillan, I mean, top pure receiver probably on the board after Travis Hunter. Size, contested catch guy. You know, some concern about how he ran at his pro day. Probably has enough speed, though, for the kind of player that he's going to be.
So I think he's a little bit misunderstood with Tet McMillan. He doesn't have great downfield speed, great vertical speed to win on the outside. That's a little bit of concern of mine because he does have a lot of jump balls down the field as a result. But I actually think what he really is like a souped-up possession receiver. Like, he's a big possession receiver. He wins at the first and 2 levels of the defense. He's great after the catch with the ball in his hands, so he's a plus in that category. So if you know what you're getting with Tet McMillan and you understand how to maximize that skill set, then you can get a really good player. I think maybe even a #1 receiver. But you have to understand that you're not getting a vertical field stretcher. You're not getting a burner on the outside. So moving him around the formation is going to be important. I think he's going to play some of his career as a big slot as well as playing on the outside. You know, put him in those condensed formations as well, allow him to get into space too. But when you watch him catch and run with the football at 6'4", 210, 215 pounds, he's got some rare start-stop dynamic movement skills that really stand out to me for a guy of his size.
Yeah, certainly nice to pair him with Drake May. Brings some things to the party for Drake, no question. Next up, though, trade down, and I'm almost trying to talk myself into 4th overall for Mykel Williams, one of my favorite guys in the draft, still just 20 years old. He'll be 21 in June. But when I look at like a Willie McGinnis type, somebody who can just dominate the edge, I think he has a really high ceiling. That's the question for me. Like I said, he's still very young, didn't play a lot, fought through injuries. We don't know what his ceiling is yet. He's one of the most intriguing players in the draft to me.
He does a lot of dirty work, too. You see a way that he'll just crease blocks and things like that, and you're like not necessarily seeing the production out of him. If you pull up his PFF box score, it's not like it's going to be off the charts. But when you turn on the film, he does a lot of that dirty work inside Georgia's defense, and he plays a lot, do not to get too technical on you, Deuce, but he plays a lot of 4-eye technique, which is right on the inside shade at the tackle. That position's not typically one that lends yourself to a ton of pass rush production because you're not outside the tackle, so you have to long way go to the edge. So a lot of these Georgia guys, Mykel Williams, you know, he's one of those guys that the production doesn't necessarily marry up to what the skill set is. And if you put him outside the tackle as a 5'7", now you can start to get further away from those blockers, and I think you can see some more production in terms of sacks.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with these Georgia guys. So those are our trade down guys. Now we're just going to 2 last guys trading up. We're in the late first round. Patriots are sitting there, early second, trying to get back up. Here's a couple guys that we were considering, and this guy, Igbokwe, just a phenomenal, polished receiver.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about Hunter and McMillan. There's some questions with them at receiver. With him, it feels like he's going to plug in. He's going to be a professional. He's going to do some of the dirty work, like you said, on the other side of the ball. Just a fantastic guy who's really just could come in, I think, and stabilize this position.
Yeah, all-around receiver. Can block, can catch the ball over the middle of the field, goes into the tough areas, can create separation, good hands. Doesn't have that great down-the-field speed, and I think that has some people wondering about his ceiling as a player. But I think there's a little bit of Jackson Smith and Jigba in his game where he's just kind of slow and steady, wins the race at times, and crafty and understands how to pace routes out and understands how to set up defensive backs, really good out of the slot. I do wonder if he's a little redundant to Jalen Polk, you know, 2 guys that aren't exactly fast, but have that craftiness and that intangible quality to them. But just in general, I think that he's a very well-rounded player, and you feel pretty good about his floor in the NFL. I'm not so sure if he has #1 receiver ceiling, but you feel pretty good about him sticking in the league.
All right, so last one, and of course you've seen Josh Connerly go in a lot of Patriots mock drafts. Highly athletic. I know, love watching the film against him and Abdul Carter. He really stands out, just how well he moves his feet. You know, some questions certainly going to be able to have that anchor against some of the more powerful rushers, but this is a guy, late first, early second, you might fill your left tackle need there.
Yeah, he's a great athlete. He's a great pass protector, and he's very, very young. That's something I think is important with Josh Connerly, is that he is somebody that is a ball of clay right now. He's got a really high ceiling. You could come out of this draft and say he's the best left tackle in the draft 3 years from now. And if you're the Patriots, that's something that you'd be really, really interested in. I think there's other guys that are maybe a little bit more pro-ready, like Arianti Ursary in this range. But Josh Connerly, to me, when you watch him move, when you watch him pass protect, when you watch him against those high-level rushers like Abdul Carter in college football playoffs and championship games and things like that, he has a really nice foundational skill set about him in pass protection. And if you're looking at the blind side, that's really where it starts and ends. So I'm excited about Josh Connerly as a potential target. I just think that he does a lot of things that really, really well already, but it's even more so the ceiling and the potential that he has with this skill set that he has.
All right, so those are some of Evan and I's favorite first-round mock draft potential Patriots. Of course, we're going to have our big boards coming out here in early April, our top 50 favorite guys. I'm sure you'll see a lot of these guys on that list. Love to hear from you guys. Who are your favorite prospects? Who are we missing out on? Of course, the draft, end of April, coming up fast. Plenty more content coming your way before then.